Hey guys, it's Jared. Welcome to the collision of faith, politics, and culture. You are watching Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Sanity. Today we're going to jump into, is Bitcoin going to kill the dollar? What's up, guys? I'm sure you've heard about Bitcoin. It's been in the news a lot lately. Elon Musk, the world's richest man currently, apparently, put out some stuff that he bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, or Tesla did, at his direction, I'm assuming. Also in the prospectus or in his little filing, he also put that they may invest in gold and other things, which would also include silver, because they also need a ton of silver for Teslas. Anyways, so what it kind of leads to is, like, why would someone who's the world's richest man in charge of a very rich company spend that much money investing in Bitcoin? And to really understand what that means, I think, and kind of what to take from it, let's do a quick dive on what a world reserve currency is. And before your eyes glaze over, I'm going to make it hopefully super simple as I can. It is a very complex topic, obviously, but we're going to kind of jump into what is a world reserve currency, what happens when the world changes from one reserve currency to another, and how you can kind of prepare for that. So first off, Bitcoin price currently was sitting at $45,000 a Bitcoin. And this is something that, has only been around for what, 15 or whatever 21 minus 8 is. Oh, geez. 13 years. And so this is something that, obviously if you bought Bitcoin at $2, you're doing pretty good right now. I am invested in Bitcoin a little bit, not as much as I wish I would have been when I bought it, but anyways, just as full disclosure. So what is a world reserve currency, right? We've had over the past, since 1450, we have had 6 of them. So Portugal was from 1450 to 1530. You have Spain, then you have the Netherlands, you have France, you have Britain, and the US became the world reserve currency in 1921, which is right at 100 years. Also interesting side note, if you look at the time periods on these, Portugal is 80, Spain's 110, Netherlands 80, France 95, Britain 105. We're at 100. So, it's kind of one of those, history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. So you look at between 80 and 110 years, what's the average lifespan of a world reserve currency? We're right at there. So I think it would be foolish not to think what happens next after the dollar loses its reserve currency status. How it became the reserve status, I think, is helpful to know. It became the world reserve currency status in 1921. US dollar, Federal Reserve, 1913, became the Federal Reserve note. So pretty much boil it down, World War II, we sold all the weapons to Europe as they were fighting, German, all the World War II stuff, right? So we took all their gold as payment. We said, hey, you want to buy some ammo? You want to buy some guns? Give us your gold. We'll give them to you. Okay, we take all the gold in. After the war, they decimated their, their production, everything. They had given us a ton of gold. And they go, okay, guys, how about we sell you some stuff and you give us our gold back? And we're like, I don't know. I kind of like having the gold, actually. So what if we give you these dollars, freshly printed dollars, instead of your gold? And they didn't kind of dig that. They said, no, I'm going to need my gold. And all right, we'll do this thing called Bretton Woods Agreement, where we'll tie our dollar, $35 an ounce, I believe is what it was. So, hey, this is what the reserve will be. We'll give you a dollar so we don't have to ship gold back and forth. You guys all use the dollars. And we promise, if you want your gold back, we'll sell it to you for $35. So, don't worry about it, guys. It's just like gold. Well, fast forward till 1971, France, I believe, was one of the major countries who didn't trust the U.S. They said, you guys are printing a lot of these. I don't think they're worth as much as you think they are. Okay, we're going to take all our gold back. So here's a bunch of dollars, and we'll take that gold like you said we could. And so Richard Nixon goes, actually, guys, going to change the rules. You can't do that. So we have been a totally fiat, based on fiat is a currency that's not backed by anything, right? Not backed by gold. So we've been a fiat currency since 1971. And we have maintain that world reserve status, even though we've been a fiat, which is, it's a great experiment. It's never been tried in history, but we're doing it. What I think Bitcoin and gold and silver are signaling to us, I personally think, and this is something that's not new. This isn't a new concept that the dollar dies, right? I think anybody who studies history can't think the dollar lives forever. And you have some interesting things. Like this was in 2019, the Bank of England Governor Mark Carney proposed a new currency and says, the trade war is dampening. He said that in essence, the dollar is overrated. In a multipolar world, you need a multipolar currency. Reliance on the US dollar as a reserve currency is too risky. So you have the Bank of England coming out and saying it. Let's look at this. This is China this year, I think, or last year. This is 2020 before we even printed. It says U.S. coronavirus stimulus reignites China's criticism of dollar hegemony, but there's no alternative to it. So even China, who obviously is a big economy, is not very happy with the U.S. dollar. Russia ditches the dollar for bulk of its exports to China. This was in 2020. So you see a lot of movement out of using the dollar because, if China is buying from Russia and Russia is buying from China, they're saying, hey, why do we keep the dollar in the middle of it? Let's just deal with each other and maybe deal with gold, because Russia and China have both been massively buying gold and maybe Bitcoin, who knows? So what happens when you have a reserve currency is you have the privilege, let's say, of printing a whole bunch of money, or I say money, currency. Money is something that can hold value. Currency is something you use. So I distinguish the dollar as a currency because it's not tied to money, which I believe is gold and silver, and Bitcoin could possibly, jump in there as well. So we have started printing a ton of dollars, and the rest of the world has taken it and they've, put it in their bank accounts, because at the end of the day, the US dollar has been the most trustworthy of all these currencies, right? Like if I say, hey, do you want some, Chinese yuan or Mexican pesos or dollars, and I ask you, what do you think, would buy you more stuff 2 years from now? I think the US has maintained the most purchasing power. They're the best looking horse in the glue factory, as someone said, or they're the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry. So COVID has really exacerbated all over the world spending, but the U.S. has gone in crazy in the amount of spending. This story, $9 trillion, 22% of the circulating dollars were printed in 2020. I saw one number up to 40% of the dollars in existence were printed in the last 12 months. So, that's just mind-blowing numbers, right? Like you look at, we'll jump to this, the budget deficit is 3.3 trillion for 2020. So our revenues were 3.3 and our deficit was 3.3. So we literally doubled our income on expenditures. And you can only do that for so long until somebody goes, hey guys, I'm going to need my gold, which is what they did in 71. We said, no, you can't have it. So everybody just started buying their own gold. And Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin, honestly, there's an interesting, parallel to Bitcoin and gold. I personally am just more of a precious metals guy. Like I said, I'm into crypto. I've had crypto. I've done a lot of stuff with crypto, but I'm a silver guy, honestly. And because this is another reason, the IMF. So the IMF has come out recently. This was in December 21st of 2020, so 2 months ago. Explores digital currency use in the international reserve ecosystem. So what the International Monetary Fund is IMF. They are proposing a new kind of world currency, and it would be a digital currency. They have a currency called the SDR. And so what this would entail is the SDR is a basket of currencies. And, guys, if you need to turn off, if your eyes glaze over, this isn't you. Thanks for watching. But I'm going to do just 3 more minutes on what the SDR is and what I think is coming next. So the IMF has a thing called the SDR, which is 60% dollar. It has the Chinese yuan in it. It has the Japanese yen. It has the euro. It has the British pound. Has 6 total. Anyways, so it's a basket of currencies, and it's a percentage of each currency. So they have this currency, and they are now proposing that they make it kind of a digital currency. What I personally think happens is each dollar, yen, all these people get weighted in a new digital currency based on their amount of gold reserves. Some of that's research that I've done. Some of it's just kind of my hypothesis on how this goes down. But what it means for you and me is that our dollar would lose a ton of purchasing power. No more, buying pink hard drives. What's a pink hard drive? I think I'm colorblind. Side note, I didn't think it was pink. I thought it was a cool silver one. My wife said that's a cute little pink external hard drive. Anyways, no more buying of these from China for $20. If you make this in the US, it's going to cost you a lot more than $20. So if we lose our world reserve status, which I think is coming in the next I personally think in the next couple years, 2 to 3 years, everything that we buy is going to be a lot more expensive, especially internationally. Everybody, I am a big made in America guy, right? Like, I think that would be fantastic if we made all of our stuff in America. But, you make this in America, you make this in America, it's going to be insane the amount of money you pay. And that's just how it is, right? Like, we don't make our own clothing. I would say 95% of clothing does not made in the US. So anyways, I think for you and for me, what I need to do is hedge myself from that incoming kind of perceived danger, right? Or wise man perceives evil and hides himself. So if it's getting into crypto, I think personally crypto, the downside of crypto is, obviously if they come out with a state-backed crypto, it's going to be very, very much competing with like Bitcoin. In addition, Bitcoin, it used to be thought Bitcoin was super anonymous. It is not super anonymous. It's actually pretty easy to track Bitcoin. So personally, I am a precious metals guy. I like gold and silver. Currently at the gold to silver ratio, I'm a big silver guy. And if you know me for 5 minutes, hopefully you probably know that already. But I think honestly, inflation is going to start picking up. We've printed a bazooka amount of dollars over the past year. It has been insane. Unprecedented is a overused word, but it is, in this case, it actually fits. The amount of dollars that we have printed into existence is something that the world has never seen. What happens next is going to be something big. I don't know what it is. I personally think it would be a inflationary depression, which stagflation, it's where everything gets more expensive, but it's not like it's good for you. It actually is economic activity goes down, but inflation goes up. And so I think we should prepare for this. Like I said, I've been preparing, but sticking dollars in a bank account right now, I think is a dangerous move. Everybody, I'm not going to pick on some of these guys that, anyways, but just paying down debt and putting dollars in a mutual fund or dollars in a savings account is not necessarily a safe move. It is a calculation. It is a risk. If your granddad or my granddad saved up, let's say the average income for somebody in the 60s was maybe $12,000 a year. Let's say they saved 4 years worth of labor, right? They worked for 4 years and just put that straight into a bank and let's say they're making $10,000 to $12,000 a year. They had $48,000 to make, 4 years worth of labor. What does that represent now, right? That represents maybe the average year labor of, so we've gone from 4 years of labor to 1 year labor. And if you kept that cash in the bank, you just lost 3 years of your life. Kind of weird, that's just the way I think. But you have lost, they have stolen 3 years of your life from you based on inflation. So anyways, be safe. Kind of get prepared for this. I think it's coming. But yeah, tell me what you think. Good to talk. Thanks, guys.